Greetings, everyone. We are just getting folks connected to our Zoom room. Just give us a moment or two and we will get the Volunteer Summit started. We are so thrilled you're joining us. My name is Spencer Giese. I'm an Educational Program Manager at ACUI. You'll hear from me a bit more in our second session of the day, but we are just so glad and so thankful that you've taken a few moments out of your day today and tomorrow to really help us push ACUI and the work that we all do together forward. I want to be mindful of time. We've scheduled a couple days together where we have plans to both give you great knowledge, but also take breaks, step away from computers, and give you some time off Zoom, while also planning out all that we can achieve together in 2024. So to get us started, just a little bit about today and tomorrow. You've got an opening session right now that you'll be hearing from our ACUI CEO and President. In our second session of the day, you'll be learning more about both our professional staff leader team and your responsibilities as volunteer leaders. In our third session today, you'll be connecting with our executive board members that are linked to your volunteer leader positions. And in our fourth session today, we will be having work time to start planning out all that we can achieve together in 2024. We do want to hear who's in the room and just have a brief connection with one another. So I'm just going to ask that we popcorn a bit, have a chance to come off Zoom mutes, to say hello, share your name, your pronouns, your institution that you're joining us from, and your role with ACUI in 2024. And I am seeking a brave person to start us out.
Oh, I can kick it off, Spencer. I'd be happy to.
Wonderful.
Hi, Janie Sacco, she, her pronouns. I'm from the University of Washington, Seattle. Go Huskies. If you couldn't tell by my lovely visor, I currently serve as the Director for Knowledge Enhancement on the board, and I am happy to be here. And since we're popcorning, I'd be happy to kick it over to Kathy.
Thank you, Janie. I'm Kathy Bush-Hobgood. I'm here at scenic Clemson, South Carolina, where it is a beautiful but chilly cold day, at least for us. I'll be serving in, I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'll be serving in 2024 as your president-elect. And I will go to Michael Griffel.
Hello, I'm Michael Griffel at the University of Oregon, and I'm going to be working with the membership committee. And it's great to see everybody. How about Olin?
Thanks, Michael. And hi, everybody. Olin Garrett, he, him, his pronouns. I am at Temple University in Philadelphia, and I will serve in 2024 as vice president. Mallory.
Hi, everybody. Mallory Sedaris, she, her pronouns. I am from Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, and I'm the current chair of the Mid-Level Leadership Institute. And I'm going to pass it over to Crystal. She knew I was going to.
Oh, hey. Hello, everyone. Crystal Lay at Northern Arizona University. Pronouns are she, her, and excited to be the chair-elect for the Mid-Level Leadership Institute. I will pass it over to Brian.
Brian Faust, he, him, his, Director of Housing at University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, and Chair of the Exhibits Committee. And I will pass it off to, let's see, Dave.
Hi, I'm Dave Craig. He, him, his pronouns. I am at Oregon State University in Corvallis, and I am the chair of the Campus Housing Index Engagement Group. And I will pass it to Steve McKenzie.
Yeah, hi everyone. Steve McKenzie, Director of Housing Facilities at the University of Oregon, and I currently sit as the Facilities and Physical Environment Director for the ACUI board, and also chair of the Housing Facility Service Committee for ACUI. He, him pronouns. All right. Who do we have left?
I'll help you out. I'm going to pass it over to Sean.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Sean Killian, he, his, him pronouns. I am the Senior Director for Housing Administration at Temple University. And I am currently the Chair of the 2024 Business Operations Conference. And it looks like maybe Kim, has Kim gone yet?
Good afternoon, y'all. My name is Kim Hardaway. She, her pronouns. I'm from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and I'm the chair-elect for the exhibits committee. I will pass it to Paige.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paige Hicks. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm the Director of Residence Life at the University of Chicago. And I'm the chair for the Multicultural Planning Committee. I'm happy to spend time with folks today. I'm going to pass it over to Gabe.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gay Perez. I'm at the University of Virginia, and I am currently EuroQI president. And I will pass it over to Sasha.
Hello, I'm Sasha Matsumi. I am the chair for STARS College 2024. I'm also an assistant director of residence life at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. And I will send it to Andy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Johnson. I'm the Director for Operations and Outreach at the University of South Florida. I use he, him pronouns. My role transitioned a little bit, but I'm working with the awards committee. I don't know quite yet, but I'm working with Katie Pelton on that committee. So I will pass it to Raymond.
Hello, everybody. Ray Hebert, he, him pronouns. I'm the Director of Facilities and Operations at Emory University, and I'm going to be working with Steve on the Housing Facility Services Committee. And I will hop it over to Maria.
Hi, everybody. Maria Gomez. I am the Associate Director at Residence Life here in King University, located in New Jersey. My pronouns are she, her, and ella. And I will be serving as the 2024 Chair-elect for Women in Housing. Nice to see you all. And I will pass it over to my colleague, Puneet.
Thanks, Maria. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Puneet Patel. I serve as the Director of Residence Life here at Kane University. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am serving as the co-chair for the APITA Network. And I will pass it over to someone we haven't spoken to that we all should know is Alexis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexis Foley. I am Educational Program Coordinator with the QOI, the Home Office, and I use she, her pronouns. I am the PSL for a handful of our identity-based groups, so the APITA Network, Women in Housing, and quite a few of the other groups too. I will pass it on to James. Have you gone?
I haven't, but thank you. Thanks, Alexis. My name's James Greenwood. I'm the head of residential life at the London School of Economics in the UK. My pronouns are he, him, and I am serving as the chair of the Global Initiatives Network. So I'm really excited to take that on from the chair-elect position and grow our network even further. It's getting quite late in the UK, and it will be the same time tomorrow, so I'm hoping to stay around as long as I can. I'll try my best before maybe fall asleep in the next few hours when it gets a bit later, but I'll try. I'll hand over to my lovely good friend Barbara, who I could see a minute ago on the screen, but I can't see now. Hopefully Barbara's still there. Maybe Barbara's dropped out.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, there you are, Barbara. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Barbara Bansere, and thank you, James. I use pronouns she, her, hers, and I come from Botswana. I work for the University of Botswana, Southern Africa, as a director, student welfare, but which includes student housing. Currently, I am a PhD student in Green State University, US. And I am on my 3rd year, so hoping so much that I can complete the end of this year. So I'm so excited to be here And my current role, I've just been elected into the chair-elect for the GIN, together with my colleague Kevin. So I'll be with James. So looking so much forward to working with all of you. I'm also part of the COI SAC executive board. So wearing many hats. Thank you so much. Oh, I need to pick somebody. Okay, yeah, I will go with Meredith. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Meredith. I use she, her pronouns. I am an educational program coordinator with the Akuhoi Home Office. And so in that role, MPSL for a couple of the groups on here today. So it's lovely to see folks. And with that, I will pass it to, it gets harder the more folks that introduce themselves. Kiana, I think, still needs to go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kiana Talley, she, her pronouns, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Residence Life. So I will also be serving as the 2024 chair for the Academic Initiatives Conference in October. So looking forward to it. And I will pass it to Paola.
Thank you, Kiana. Hi, everyone. My name is Paula Ortega. I am an Assistant Director of Housing at Oklahoma State University, and I'll be serving as a chair-elect for the Sustainability Committee. I was a little bit late, so I don't really know who has any.
We'll pass it to Amanda next.
There you go, Amanda.
I'm here to help.
Thank you.
Thanks, Spencer. Get ready to help me too, okay?
Okay.
I'm Amanda Creer Jenkins, a she, her pronouns, and I currently work at Wisconsin Whitewater. And I am thrilled to get to work with Kiana as the chair-elect for the October Academic Initiatives Conference.
And we're going to pass it over to Allie Gary.
I had a feeling that was coming. Hi, folks. My name is Allie Gary. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Apartment Operations Coordinator at Oregon State University. I am the, I guess, technically now co-chair for the LGBTQIA+ network, and I'm really excited to be here. And I will popcorn over to, I believe Lisa Alexander is in this, and we were former colleagues.
Hello, Ellie, and hello, everyone. I am Lisa Alexander, she, her pronouns. I am the coordinator for sustainability programs for the Department of Resident Life at the University of Maryland, and I am the current chair for the Sustainability Committee. And I don't know who's next.
All right, we've got Yolanda's next. She saw it coming too.
I did. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yolanda Graham, Associate Director for Residential Living at Clemson University, and I am the chair of the Housing Internship Program Committee.
And we'll pop over to Dayton.
Hi, folks. I'm Dayton. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a resident support coordinator at Queen's University in Ontario, Canada. And I am the chair of the Talking Stick Advisory Panel this year. And I also have no idea who's next.
Michael P.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Palacios. I use he, him pronouns. I serve as one of the co-chairs for the Latin Network. I am the Assistant Director for Student Care and Conduct at the University of Washington Seattle campus. Go Dogs, National Championship Day, go UW, woohoo, everything else. I don't know who's next either, sorry.
Angie Bradley.
Awesome. My name's Angie, she, hers pronouns. I am also a co-chair for the Latina Network, working at UW as well with Michael, Go Dogs, Assistant Director for Res Life. And has Janie gone?
Janie has gone.
Dang
We
it.
love her.
Okay, help me out, Spencer.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to pass it over to Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan Rosner. I serve as the Associate Director for Housing Operations at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. And I use he, him pronouns. And I am the chair-elect for the 2024 Business Operations Conference. Oops, Spencer, you were muted.
Poor hosting skills. Alexis M. We'll go there.
How are we doing, everyone? My name is Alexis. I use them as pronouns. I work at the University of Connecticut, and I'm the chair-elect for the Black Professionals Network. And I'm gonna pass it to Amber as my chair.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber. I've been with the Black Professionals Network for this is my 3rd year. I am the chair now. So good seeing some very familiar faces. I'm at Georgia State. Non-housing, we tried mid-level, so we'll get back into housing. And let's see, she, her, hers pronouns. Housing experience-wise, I worked at Georgia Institute of Technology, University of Texas at Austin, and University of South Florida. So I do have plenty of great res life experience. And I will popcorn it to Jafon, who's also a VPN member.
My name is Jafon Stubbs. I am also at the University of Connecticut with Alexis as a residence hall director. And I served last year as a communications chair-elect for the Black Professionals Network. And this coming year, I'll be the member at large for the Black Professionals Network. And I'm happy to be here. And Spencer, can you help me out?
Brianna, we'll go there next.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brianna Trotti, and I'm currently a residence coordinator at New Jersey Institute of Technology in New Jersey, and I am the chair of the Live-In Network.
Aubrey Smith.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aubrey Smith. I use she, her pronouns. I am the manager of logistics and implementation at Ohio State University, and I am currently serving as the 2024 Housing Facilities Chair. Spencer, I need help.
Hillary.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hillary Lichterman. I use she, her pronouns. I serve as the Director of Housing and Residence Life at Seattle University and also serving as the chair-elect for NHTI.
Kevin.
Thanks, Spencer. Kevin Kahn, Executive Director of Student Housing and Res Life at Cal State Northridge, he, him, his pronouns, and chair-elect for the Global Initiatives Network. I see you all. Sorry for my delay. I had, tech issues. That's how it goes. And I'll turn it over to James, our current incoming chair.
I've already gone, so back to you, Spencer. But thanks,
Absolutely.
Kevin.
No problem.
All right. We'll go. I'm put a list in the chat. We'll go Sarai. Sorry, I mispronounced that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarai Matt. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I currently serve as the Associate Director of Residence Life and Housing at a small college in South Georgia called ABAC. And I'm on the Black Professionals Network as one of the programming chairs.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lanshay Fantoner, the Head of Residence Management and Student Life at the University of Pretoria. And I'm currently serving as the Globalization Director on the Executive Board. Good to see you all.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Sims. I am the Associate Director of Residential Life and Housing at the Langston University, and I serve as the Outreach Chair for the Black Professionals Network, which co-chair.
Emily.
Hi there, members and teammates. My name is Emily Kelly, she, her pronouns. I am your Director of Learning and Professional Development here at ACUI, where I've been for about 5 months now, and I am just thrilled to put so many faces with all the names I've been trying to learn over the last few months. Excited to hear what you all have to say and contribute today. Thanks for being here. Who's next, Spencer?
So the includer in me has been making sure so carefully. We've got everyone, and we're gonna Mary and Gay go next in their session. So I'll just pause on their intros. And if I missed anyone, please chime in now. I really hope to goodness that we're able to hear from everyone. That's the right sound. And again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and supporting our members and our association and our field. And with that, I want to pass it over to Mary and Gay to introduce themselves and to connect with you all in their time.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining the Volunteer Summit. We have been gathering people together virtually for about the last 5 years to set the stage on what's going on at ACUI. And we're not just gathering any old folks. We are gathering the supreme leaders, as I like to call them, of our volunteer cohort. You know, you all have the feet on the ground, practical experience to help your peers, our colleagues, our members, you know, understand what is going on, how to program, what people need, when they need it, and how they need it. I often say to folks, ACUI, with the foundation, we're about a $7.5 million organization, but because of our volunteers, we play like a $12 million organization. That makes me very proud to be your CEO. I've been in the role now for about 9 years, and Gay and I today are going to, you know, help frame what drives all of our decisions from the executive board to the staff, to our committees, our volunteers, etc. You know, we have this summit specifically so everybody can hear the same message, everybody can hear the same questions, because, you know, we can't fit everything into this time period, but there is time for questions. And if you have a question, we're really encouraging you to ask it, because your fellow volunteers probably have the same questions. You know, we want this to be a really impactful experience for you, not only on the professional level, but people often tell us that it's because of things like the Volunteer Summit, serving on committees, and then moving into the chair role that are some of the most gratifying professional and personal experiences that they have. Today, we're going to go over a whole variety of things, including the strategic plan and what comes next and how you can be involved in it. You know, the strategic plan this year specifically has been derived from the future of the profession. So you're going to learn more about that. And, you know, as we go through the summit, as I said, I hope you are meeting others that you have not met before, that you make great professional networks. I hope we can learn from each other. You know, when something is happening in one institute, there's opportunities for us to pick it up in another institute. When something's happening in one network, there's opportunities for us to think about how can that fit in another institute or another affinity group. Certainly, you know, we hope that you leave this understanding a little bit better about how ACUI works. You heard from the wide variety of people who are on this call that ACUI touches a lot of levels and a lot of different functions, not only with campus housing and residence life, but also within student life. You know, I say that all roads lead through campus housing, and our members are some of the most influential people on campus because they hold so much knowledge. We as an association are trying to help you unpack that knowledge and make sure that others know about it, and that you are seen in the capacity of being an influential leader on your campus. So we're going to go through a couple of things today, starting with our mission and vision. I'm going to put my cell phone number in the chat after our presentation. I encourage everybody to take it, put it in your contact list. Text me, call me. I love hearing from people. You know, folks are common to send me texts late at night when they're at a conference and they want to know a little bit about history about ACUI. And I'm always happy to answer or to be able to find the answer for you. So keep in touch. With that, Alexis, if you want to move to the next slide. So, you know, our strategy structure, as we call it, starts with mission, vision, strategy, which Gay will be talking about soon. and then structure. And that's how we're organized both as an executive board and how we're organized as a staff. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the mission and the vision. Later on, you're going to hear about how the executive board is organized to fulfill that mission, vision, and strategy. Our mission and vision really have not changed significantly over the last number of years, nor should it. We exist to be the preeminent resource and champion for the global campus housing profession. It sounds very short and sweet, but embedded in that is a lot of complexity, especially in these times when the higher ed landscape is changing so rapidly. But we know the value of campus housing, and the association strives to be that preeminent resource, the place that you, senior campus officials, can go to, and others as not only resources on how to and what has happened, but also to champion the work that we do on behalf of our students. Our vision corresponds with the mission, and that is that we're going to cultivate a diverse and inclusive profession. And that's bolded for a reason, especially in these times when it feels like we're all being attacked from so many different levels. We are a diverse and inclusive profession dedicated to delivering transformative residential student experiences. We do this through extensive knowledge resources, innovative operational models, courageous advocacy, and resolute community connections. And again, you know, it's these sound like they're simple statements, but they are ones that really drive our strategy. They drive what we do at the home office, what the executive board tasks the home office to do, and then what the executive board tasks all of you as volunteer leaders to do. Next slide, please. So we're going to go into the strategic plan, and I believe, Gay, you're going to take that over, or am I still up?
You're still up until
I'm still up. Yeah.
I'll jump.
Okay.
I'll jump in when it's my turn.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you. So, you know, we talked about the strategy structure, mission, vision, strategy. Wrapped around all of that are our core values and beliefs. And, you know, when we say that we hold these things dear, it's important for all of you to know that executive board members sign all sorts of documents to make sure that we are upholding our core values, our beliefs, that we understand things like conflict of interest, that we understand how to make sure that we're an inclusive board gathering all voices. And it starts with, you know, this notion of being inclusive and fostering diverse, inclusive, and equitable membership. We believe that the more diverse we are, the stronger we are. And the stronger we are, the more influence we have to influence campus climate change and culture. We value leadership and engagement. And, you know, that means not everybody thinking alike, but it means understanding where we can be supportive, the challenges, and ways to inspire our members to greatness, while we're still serving our students with humility and care. We value advocacy and responsiveness that champions the concerns of the profession and leverages our resources for actions. We have a committee that, unfortunately, the representative isn't able to be here today. We call it PPAP for short, but it's the Political Party Action Committee. And this group meets really to take a look at all that's going on the political front. We think about advocacy as small a, not capital A necessarily, as lobbying on the Hill. But this group is really taking a look at what's going on at states and at the federal level. And you all know that there are no shortage of issues right now around that. And finally, we value the cultivation of global knowledge within the housing profession to transform it into meaningful context experience that guides our membership. You know, we have a number of people on the call today who are from outside of the United States. We have a number of programs that happen outside of the United States and Canada. And I think what's most exciting about the global impact that we're having is not that it's bringing information from the United States to other countries, but rather it's a two-way conversation. It's bringing information from the United States to other countries, and then hearing from other countries and bringing new and different information back to our members that reside in North America. Next, please. So what drives all that we do? You know, the executive board is driven by a strategic plan. Our timing horizon for strategic plans is traditionally 3 years. Many times that feels like it's so fast. Maybe we should have an extended 5-year time horizon. And then other times the world is moving so quickly, sometimes it doesn't seem like it's long enough. But the strategic plan is really a roadmap that helps us identify new or different areas to focus that are important to our members and the profession. You know, it's a time for us to think about, if we want to add new things, what are we going to pause or stop? Our resources are not unlimited. And so just like all of you at your home campuses, we have to make decisions. And sometimes those are tough decisions. It's also a time for us to take an environmental scan and say, where are there unique opportunities that ACUOI has? Where are things that we can be doing that no one else is doing, or that we can do it better, or we can do it in a way that serves the housing profession? It's also a time for us to think about, what are the threats to the association? Where are there others who might be infringing on the work that we should be doing? You know, it's easy to think that a new executive board comes in and all of a sudden we start from a full stop or ground zero, and we all of a sudden start doing new and different things. Really, the strategic plan is a way for us to connect the dots over time across programs and across the years. Many times executive board members tell me that they're surprised at how they are implementing decisions that were made by executive board members 2 or 3 years ago, and how they are voting on matters that may not come to fruition for 1 to 2 years. So it keeps us with a continuity. This strategic plan and planning also provides direction for volunteers like all of you and for the staff. It's the executive board that sets the direction. The staff and the volunteer leaders execute against it. You know, it's also a way for us to measure. Are we doing what we said we would do? We keep a scorecard, and are we on task? Aren't we on task? Are we using the resources to get things done? Do we have the resources to get things done? And finally, I'll just say, when we do strategic planning, we take it very seriously. We engage lots of people, and we try to clarify it so that all of us know, are we staying on track? Is this what the executive board wants us to do? And we try to make it organic enough so as things change in this ever-changing, ever-evolving landscape in higher education, that we can be nimble. So, you know, I've talked a little bit about how we use the strategic plan. It certainly guides all of you as committee leaders. It guides task forces that the President Gay may want to task. It guides chapters. I don't know if folks know, but we have one chapter, and that's the South Africa chapter. And it also guides the foundation on how we use those important funds that they raise to support ACUOI, support the membership, and support those things that we would never be able to do out of operating funds. Some of the outcomes of the strategic plan that just ended December 31st, There was a great deal of advocacy around COVID. ACUI was the first association to write to all the governors saying that folks in campus housing, dining, and a few other places were first responders and that they should get the COVID vaccine first. In 2021, our cohort for the Leadership Academy was comprised exclusively of Black women. That came specifically out of our anti-racism task force. We released the case for campus housing. This was a foundation, an association-sponsored research that really denotes the value of campus housing, and that was done in conjunction with Nessie out of the University of Indiana. We've revised and repositioned our diversity, equity, and inclusion statement, developed new offerings for our target audiences. In last year's plan, we specifically wanted to focus on live-in staff, small colleges and university, and partner organizations. It's also a way for us to transition existing or standalone events into things that are more relevant and more accessible to a wider group of people. That included NHTI, STARS, mid-level, and looking at all of our institutes and making sure that they fit the goal of the strategic plan through the educational lens. And then in the last plan, we also developed 4 new affinity networks. We understand that people want space and time to gather, that they want to talk about issues, they want to have a peer network, not only for support, but really to think about how to lead in the future and what that means. So the structure, in addition to mission, vision, strategy, resources, we look at how do we engage lots of people, and it's the executive board, its staff, its committees. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn it over to Gay, but I also wanted to say that, this year, as we were developing the plan, we did an all-member survey. We had about 1,500 respondents. We had a strategic planning group. And Gay's going to talk a little bit more about the focus for 2024 and 2026. And she'll talk a little bit about the planning group and how we brought it back to the executive board, the foundation trustees, and others. But finally, before I turn it over to Gay, I just want to say I recognize the last 3 years have really been tough, but I go into 2024. Here we are the second week of 2024 with great optimism. I feel like the association, our members, are really very future focused. I think that things have settled, at least in some areas, a bit on campuses. People now know what the new normal is, and they're ready to move ahead, and they're ready to move ahead with optimism. And I'm happy to join you and to lead you in those efforts. With that, Gay, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes. Well, welcome everyone. It's great to have you all here today. I'm very honored to be serving as your president for this year. When I was in Kathy's seat last year as the president-elect, I had the opportunity to lead the strategic planning effort. And as Mary indicated, and I'll go through kind of the steps for that, some of our goals for the strategic planning was to really build on the previous strategic plan, but then let's focus it in the direction for the future. And some of our focus areas that came out of the strategic planning effort was strategic collaborations, and I'll go into detail a little bit later, volunteer management, and our products and services. So the process for developing the 2024 to 2026 strategic plan, it was extensive. It was over a year long process. We did the member survey, Association Laboratories led that effort. And basically that survey, member survey, we did 3 years ago. And what it helped us do was identify, what were we doing well? So it was a benchmarking tool. And then it also identified some of the trends as a result of COVID and what was going on in the higher education field and residence life and housing field. And it helped us to hone some additional questions. So with those results, we convened a strategic planning group. And this was a new or an additional tool to get additional voices in the strategic planning process. And we were able to host it thanks to Stephanie Lynch at her campus in April. And we were able to take a deep dive because the director of the association, or the president of the association laboratories, came and he talked to us and he really delved into the data that they had collected and analyzed for us. And so we were able to spend 2 or 3 days really fine tuning and honing that data into what our focus areas needed to be. And then during Campus Home Live in June, we then had an opportunity to test some of those focus areas and trends with larger groups of people. We also did it during the, what is that event called, Mary? Where everybody comes together at Campus Home Live. You're muted.
The World Cafe.
Yeah, the World Cafe. So we, again, were testing some of those focus areas and discussions. And then we did further refining the plan. And we do have to give a shout out to, we also, what was Lowell's company's name? We also had another consultant who helped us author the strategic plan. So we spent July and August refining it. And then during our October board meeting, we presented the plan as a draft form. And then when we got together in November, we also were able to bring the foundation and the executive board together, and we're able to have another session with questions and everything like that. And then finally in December or in November, we voted to accept the strategic plan for 24 through 26. And so now in January, you all are the first ones to get to see the strategic plan. So we're getting ready to launch it. And ta-da, here is a synopsis of the strategic plan as kind of a visual for that. And one of the things I want to really draw your attention to is the top line where it says driven by Future of the Profession initiative. And I'll go into a little bit more on how that does that, but it's very important for everyone to understand the Future of the Profession has been an initiative that we are going on into our 3rd year of working on the future of the profession and these initiatives. And so everything that we've done up to this point with the future of the profession, you will see in Campus Home Live in a lot of our materials and everything like that. It is centered around or driven by the work of hundreds of professionals in our field. What stays the same? The commitment to an infusion of DEI efforts are operationalized of the small colleges and universities and the live-in staff and all of our current program offerings. And what we are building towards and what we're building on is our distinct member value. We want to enhance that distinct member value. We want to make sure that what we're offering in our services meet the needs of our members, our global members, and everyone in between, and that we're looking towards the future. Our volunteer management. We want to make sure that we are engaging as many people and everyone who wants to be involved. I was a member of the executive board back in 2015 when we were defining levels of engagement. And that was the initiative that kind of started off and has turned into volunteer management, because we could not be the association we are if we did not have the volunteers powering our profession. And so we want to make sure we're engaging in as many people as we can, and then also tracking, making sure that the experiences, as they said, this is a professional development experience for you, but we want you to get out as much as you're putting in for your time and your talent and your treasure. And so I mean, I know when I was part of the foundation board, I was like, no, I can't ask for money. And then I was a chair and I loved it. I learned so much about it and was able to bring back a lot of great skills and experience to my institution now. And so I'm often asked by development officers to host some people here. So I think volunteer management, we're going to focus on that. And then our enhanced partnerships and expertise is we're really trying to, when we talk about our products and services, we are doing a great job, but we need to identify how Akuhawai's expertise can be used to benefit not only our members, but other folks in student affairs and higher education and globally. So we're going to be taking a look at that. The purpose of the task force, this is where we're getting into the future of the profession. And as I mentioned before, the task force started out as looking at the internal and external impacts that are seen to have a moderate to long term. That's why it's the future of our profession, because we want to make sure that our profession is viable and sustainable into the future. As what we do with our own association, we need to make sure that we're doing the things that need to be done to make sure that we are viable well past the time when I am no longer working. Explore and make recommendations for how campuses should consider, plan for, and attend to the elements impacting HRL programs into the future. So this effort led to these 8 imperatives, and you will hear us, for those that are new to this, hopefully that you will see that these are captured in all of the work that housing and residence life folks encounter every day, whether you're global in your student accommodations or anything, to US centric. But you have a higher ed business model, you have the workforce sustainability, supporting the mental health of community members, our strategic collaborations and partnerships, both internal and external to our universities, our facilities design and maintenance, creating inclusive communities, our DEI work, centering housing work in operational learning, and finally communicating our value to not only, we all know how valuable we are, but our bosses sometimes don't, and people external to our departments might not. So how do we communicate that? And how do we do so where we're data driven? And I have to say that the Campus Housing Index on our membership survey was the #1 product that everyone said that was most beneficial and valuable. So we want to be data driven, but we also have to learn to communicate. And how do we do that? And hopefully, next slide. So this is the time frame, just so you know that I had said that this was a 3-year commitment. Well, it started out as phase 1 with the inquiry, which was the group of people that went to Ohio State, and we talked for days on, what are the areas that made up these imperatives. And that was the inquiry phase. And then we went into the discovery phase, which was new and different people coming together and doing some research on each of these trends and seeing what was out there, resources. And it was almost like a research paper back in the day. And then this one we've just finished up is our design phase, where we are now starting to provide deliverables that we are going to begin to test into the future. And then we will do a review and see and renew and make changes and alter as we move forward. And then notables about this project, we have engaged hundreds of volunteers to date. It informs our new strategic plan, which I mentioned, and in turn the association activities led to the development of tangible resources for members, released and soon to be released, toolkits, tutorials, assessments, training in conjunction with 2024 Campus Home Live, extended pre-con, and a pre-con on residential educational professionals guide to residence hall design. So you can see how we are building on the old strategic plan and just enhancing it, hopefully, as we move into the future. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gay, and thank you so much, Mary, for that overview of the strategic plan and the future of the profession initiatives. So next we're going to jump ahead really quick and have Dr. Janie Sacco introduce herself before she hops off, before we talk about our organizational chart.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, or late night, depending on where you are joining us from around the globe. So happy to have you there. So my name is Jane Sacco, again, she, hers pronouns, and I am the Knowledge Enhancement Director. And so I serve as the board liaison to our Campus Home Live Programming Committee, our Research Committee, the Journal of the College and University Housing Board, and the Campus Housing Index. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about my volunteering journey, which to me is very central to my professional journey, just to give a little bit of insight into that and where you all might be where you are at. So I actually started out volunteering with my regional association in Northwest Akuho as a committee member. I was on a couple different committees there. And then I moved on to be a member of the board. I served on the board for 5 years. And that was a really great central part of my experience. I then took a bit of a break from volunteering after all of that time, and I kind of found my way to Akuho, Hawaii. And so I had worked with it before. Being from Northwest Akuho, our region didn't have as many opportunities to travel, so I got to go to my first Hawaii conference as a board member. That was really my experience and my entrance into Akuho, Hawaii, which was really an awesome time. And so I was able to get back into that during the pandemic. I was able to attend my first Akuho Hawaii conference in a bit of time, which was really fantastic. And through that, I had the opportunity to apply for the 2021 Leadership Academy, which was highlighted as one of the earlier in the presentation. And so from there, I learned about the research committee, which got me very excited. And now I'm on the board. And so all that to say is that everyone's professional development journey looks a little bit different. Mine was very much, I started in my region and then I got involved more at a national, international, and global level. And I think that any way that you can get involved in the association or is a pleasure and has really, I think, been one of the ways where I have gotten to really expand my network, getting to know new folks from different regions, getting to hear new perspectives. All that comes from, I think, volunteerism and working in my professional home. So I hope that you all have the same or similar experience as a volunteer and just know that the work is so valued and appreciated. I like to say, taking a bit of time out of our standard work day to do this work, I think really adds to the professional experience. At least for me, it helped really make Akuho Hawaii be my professional home, and it's really kind of helped sustain me in the association and in my own career. And so I've really valued the connections I've made. Some of my favorite connections have come off of the research subcommittee and through my time in the Leadership Academy. And I'm so excited to continue to grow those connections as I continue with Akuho Hawaii and work with y'all. So I really appreciate the time to share that bit and hope that you all can take some time today to reflect on your own professional development journey and what your story is and kind of how you got to where you're at today, because I can tell you all of that time and attention and effort really not only makes you better, I think, as a professional, but makes us better because we get to interact and engage with y'all.
Thank you so much, Janie. And as Janie mentioned, she'll be supporting some of our volunteer groups, these volunteer groups and committees here. So you all will get an opportunity to spend more time with her this afternoon and throughout the year. Thank you so much. Alrighty, so we are going to go back here and discuss our Akuho Hawaii organizational chart. So with that, I am going to pass it on to Kathy Bush Hobgood, our Akuho Hawaii president-elect.
Thanks so much, Alexis. Appreciate your organization for our whole event here. And then all year it will also be have some of these slides. We're sort of touching base back and forth here for the conversation. We're glad that you're here, so welcome and happy to see you and to spend this really important time together. I am fastidious about telling people that part of any professional success that I've had has been the opportunity to be a leader and to be involved with my regional association, with state association, and with the ACU Hawaii for sure. My first opportunity, actually, let me go to Olin, let him do his introduction, and then we'll ping pong back and forth.
No worries. It's good to be with you all this afternoon, and thank you so much for your service to the association. I know this association means a lot to many of us, and so I'm grateful that you all are here. I also am really excited to be able to serve in this role coming up in 2024 as vice president. It's been a professional journey that really has been the most formative in my development as a professional. Kathy, I think, hit the nail on the head in that many of the formative experiences that I've been able to have also come regionally and in ACU Hawaii as well. And so, you know, this is a really powerful experience, and you as volunteer leaders in many ways are the lifeblood and the heartbeat of our association and the way we carry our vision and carry our mission. So I'm really excited to be with you. So I'll turn it back to Kathy.
Absolutely. Thanks, Olin. Mary is absolutely right when she says that our volunteer leadership among the association, from the executive board all the way to folks that only maybe get to volunteer once a year, is really what allows us to punch above our weight class as we think through what are the opportunities that ACU Hawaii has and our ability to really be relevant in the association space when we think about who our sister associations are. There are a million opportunities, and you know that based on the positions that you're currently in. But some of the stories that I like to tell people about those pathways, you know, really include that you can do a lot of different things and be the ultimate generalist. And it really does help you. My very first volunteer opportunity with the ACU Hawaii was as a member of the NHTI host committee. That was when it was at its original home at the University of Florida. Please don't do the math for how long ago that was. But we used to joke that, oh, if you needed something done during the summer, just say you needed it for NHTI and the office just make it happen. Jane, for sure, the opportunities to think about the bigger things that are happening and how we host those on our campuses. Mary also talked about the public policy committee and our ability to provide that kind of service to our campuses through our roles, understanding what's happening nationally. I had the opportunity to do some work on the Fair Labor Standards Act in 2017 that allowed me to be an expert on my campus while I was trying to help ACU Hawaii think through that and what did hours counting really mean for Affordable Care Act, all of those pieces, as well as the advent of emotional support animals and service animals, which if I could see all your faces right now, I'm sure you'd be having empathy for the challenge that's been for us as practitioners. But ACU Hawaii's efforts to bring volunteer leaders in and up and through conversations, I think has been really important within that as we look at our place across the country. I also served in regional leadership roles and publication roles, and then served on the executive board in 2006 to 2008 in a position that became eventually Janie's position about knowledge enhancement, but worked originally with the Talking Stick as an author and then a committee person and then on the exec board. And I thought I wasn't ever going to be on the exec board again when I was doing regional pieces, and then came back in through the foundation, a side door to service, on getting shameless about asking people for money in the name of a good cause, as Gay mentioned. But those opportunities, I think, come together in a way that allows me to serve as your future president, and just really honored to have that opportunity. Olin, do you want to talk a little bit about your volunteer journey?
Sure. Like I said earlier, for many of us, it's gone through regionally also was my foundational involvement in the housing and residence life field. I started out in the Lakuha region way back ago when I was a very young, much younger professional as a conference program chair, and then ultimately moved into the Mid-Atlantic region, where I've been for a good chunk of my career, serving in Makuho as a program a chair, as a director of membership development, a treasurer, and much of my involvement has been through finance and records, which you'll see as a common theme throughout my career. So ultimately, my first ACU Hawaii involvement was via Makuho as a member of the Region Affiliations Task Force that was looking at the relationship between ACU Hawaii and its regions. Eventually was able to be elected to the board and joined the board as the Business Practices Enhancements Director originally on the board and also worked with NHI faculty member and some other things. And then most recently for the last 3 years, I have served as the Finance and Corporate Records Officer. And so one of the things that we have spent a lot of time talking about at the board is policy and governance and making sure we advocate in good governance. I've been excited to be a part of a role that's been really important. I will say that being a part of the organization has been drinking from a fire hose. The relationships that have been able to be cultivated, the things that I have learned from others in this field have really formed and shaped who I am as a professional. And I will say, ever since I first started in this field, KUI has had very, very pivotal roles in my involvement. And the roles are very different. Every journey is a little bit different. Every picture is a little bit different, but there is room for everybody. So one of the things I would say to you is, thank you for being a part of the association, helping and finding your sense of belonging as a volunteer professional, as volunteer leaders, helping all of us and every member of our association find that sense of belonging in place. I think is really important. I appreciate your service and your leadership for the organization.
Thanks, Olin. Do you want to go ahead and talk about our vision?
Mary talked a little bit about this earlier about vision and mission, but as we talk about what we are about, how we operationalize this in the context of the board and staff, I just want to remind us about why we do what we're doing, right? So really to cultivate a diverse, inclusive profession, equitable profession, dedicated to transformative residential student experiences, through knowledge resources, operational models, courageous advocacy, and resolute connections. And as volunteer leaders and committee chairs, we play a pivotal role in being able to navigate and help advance this vision forward. So that's really important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When we think about our organizational structure, and I hope that we'll be able to share this with you in a way that you can really see how the buckets are lined out. We've done a tremendous amount of work over the last several years on our volunteer structures and how they connect through with the executive board, as well as your PSL, a new acronym, Professional Staff Liaison. We think about how do we get you what you need as volunteer leaders in a timely fashion that allows you to manage the groups that you manage, as well as the important association initiatives. So we think about that. We look at the relationship between the executive board and volunteer-led committees, as well as our home office team. And the way that the structure lines out, it really reflects sort of some logical clusters of folks that are paired together with a professional staff liaison, as well as with their executive board liaison. So I like to think about it as these are the people in your neighborhood. You know, what does your smaller neighborhood look like as you then think forward for your overall association pieces? The work that we did in 2022 that really came to fruition in 2022 balanced that out a little bit. I think for a while we had some things that looked like they all belonged together, so we put them all in the knowledge enhancement bucket. But Suzanne Price at the time had 11 liaisons, which would not allow her to spend as much time as she wanted to spend with each individual. So we've moved some of those pieces around. That makes that more meaningful for the volunteer leaders and their committees, but also for the executive board. Our ability to really dig in on that and make sure that we're not making you crazy and we're not making ourselves crazy as we organize our way through that. It also helped us to really build a support structure around our expansion of volunteer leadership for our affinity networks. It's important work. It's important that we are providing those pockets of community and spaces and places. But we also really need to do our due diligence and make sure that we're providing appropriate support for those DEI groups. And it's relatively new, so if we're getting it wrong, please be vocal about that. We absolutely want to continue to tinker with the model to really make sure that we're providing you with the support that you need that helps maximize your role as a leader.
And then one of the things that we've spent a lot of time talking about, for many of you have been committee chairs and committee chairs elect before, so you have some familiarity with this. But particularly for those who are new, and as we review for everybody, one of the things sometimes that we have to think about is, you know, ACUHO-I is an international organization. And for many of us, it is the first time we have worked with an organization that has a management staff. And we have one of the most outstanding management staffs anywhere. And I see a lot of head nods of agreement, and rightfully so, led by Mary and others on the call. One of the things that we talk about a lot is what is the relationship between the board and the CEO, and the executive board has spent quite a bit of time in retreat talking about what is good board governance. Believe it or not, there's an association for associations. It's called ASAE. And one of the things that ASAE talks about is it talks about the role of the executive board and the role of the CEO and the staff. Mary alluded to this earlier. The chart that you see here actually brings out in greater detail. Essentially, the executive board is responsible for strategic direction, planning, visioning, and strategic oversight. And so that's where the board is. So you'll see the board spend a lot of time at the 20,000 foot level, talking about issues related to the profession, helping set strategic direction, and helping to provide direction to Mary and her team, who are ultimately responsible as the CEO for the implementation process and execution of that strategic direction. Now, you'll notice this says there are certain things that the board is responsible for, and the certain things the CEO is responsible for, but they're involved. So just because the executive board is responsible for strategic planning, direction, visioning, doesn't mean that the CEO and the staff aren't interested and involved in that discussion. As the group that has to carry that out, they are involved in that discussion. At the same time, as the management staff is ultimately responsible for the carrying out of that strategic direction and implementation, it doesn't mean that the board doesn't have interest, so they are involved. But it is very clear in terms of that. What does that mean for us as volunteer leaders, particularly committee chairs? It means that as you interact with your executive board liaison, your executive board liaison may very likely be involved in talking with you about possibilities, may very be involved in talking about what are the big picture issues that we need to be aware of. How can we help strategically help move in a direction that helps evolve and support? How do we help you generate ideas? Your professional staff liaison and staff will likely be the ones to help you with the implementation, okay? And they will carry out. So the processes, they will largely sit with them. So that gives us the ability to be flexible in our thought process, to work with our teams and be good partners with our staff, with the staff, in order to be able to be supportive. But that gives you a sense of how the executive board roles play out and how the CEO staff roles play out. Questions about that?
Well said, Olin. I love this chart because it helps me to remember something that I often say on my own campus, which is everybody can meet expectations better if they know what it looks like to stay in your lane, and where those lanes should intersect with each other, and where we need to take other opportunities in that broader dialogue. I think at this point, we will turn it back over to Alexis for a poll.
Hey, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Kathy, and thank you so much, Olin, for your time and for giving us that in-depth overview of the organizational chart and the relationship between the board and the CEO and the board and the volunteers. That's really important for us as we move forward and talk about the work that our volunteers do for the organization, how important you all are. All right, so we're going to skip past the poll and go ahead and move on to a break. And so we are going to take a 10-minute break and pick back up in 2:20. But before you all mute and turn your videos off, I do have a few questions for you all to reflect on as we move into the next section. And the first is, what do you already know about a QOI and how it serves you as a campus housing and residence life professional? We talked a little bit about that in this section. What do you still want to learn about the association that you don't already have a grasp on? So there was a lot of information presented, and some things are more complex than others. So any questions that you have about the association? And then what is one thing that you'd like to accomplish from attending the summit today and tomorrow? And so just some questions for you to reflect on before we move into the next session. And we will pick back up at 2:20. It will be the same Zoom link for the next session. So feel free to leave and come back, or you can just mute yourself and turn your video off. Thank you all so much. All righty. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you were able to get you some tea or some coffee as we move forward into our next section. So in this next session, we are going to focus on developing the profession. So really the methods that a QOI takes to develop
the profession, our offerings, our knowledge resources, all of the things. And then we'll also talk about volunteer leadership, your role as a volunteer leader, our role as an association, and how everyone works together to achieve the goals, the mission of the association. But first, I want to pass it on to my colleagues on the education team to introduce themselves and speak a little bit about their paths in a QI. So I'm going to pass it over to Emily Kelly, who is our Director of Learning and Professional Development.
Thanks, Alexis. I am very excited to help with this section. It's already been very informative for me. But like I alluded earlier, I'm still a little bit of the new kid here, 5 months in to my experience with the QOI, but I do come to the table with 20 years of association management experience, where I specialize in the fundamentals and principles of adult learning, as well as membership engagement and volunteer management. And I'm hoping that I have some things to share with you and that we can learn from each other throughout the rest of this summit. I will turn things back up. Let's see, Spencer.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Spencer Kesey, he, his pronouns, educational program manager here at ACUA-Y. I've had the privilege of being with the Association of Professionals since 2016, working on educational events. I've gotten to work with so many of you throughout your volunteer leadership and in your various networks and committees. And prior to my time at ACUA-Y, I was a longtime practitioner in the field of housing and residence life. So I've certainly had the opportunity to be in some of your footsteps and learn from you while you were professionals and I was in the field with you, and now assist you as you build up our field through your volunteer leadership. I'll throw it back over to Alexis.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Spencer. My name is Alexis Foley. I am an educational program coordinator. I have been with the association for, I want to say 6 months now, 6 months going on 7. I have a background, I guess a kind of an interesting background. I was a resident director with fraternity and sorority life for a couple of years, also worked in advising, and then have some experience with adult learning and corporate training as well. And so I bring all of that into this space with a passion for higher education, student affairs, but also that lens for adult learning. So when we're focusing on our professional development and education, that's something that we try to incorporate. So yeah. So moving forward, I'm going to share the screen again. Alrighty. So I am going to move us into talking about our guiding principles and operational excellence. We talked a little bit about this earlier today when Mary was speaking about our core beliefs and our values. And so really, this top row on this diagram, these are our guiding principles, right? So this is almost the how behind our work. This is what we want to achieve. And so with leadership and engagement, you all are key in that, right? We want to engage our members. We want to make sure that there are leadership opportunities for our members. Advocacy and responsiveness. Mary talked about how the association has been on the forefront of advocating for housing and residence life professionals. It's important for us as an association to respond to what's happening in, I guess, the macro environment, right? And so being the face and the advocate for housing and residence life. Diverse, inclusive, and equitable leadership. It's important for our leadership to reflect our professionals in the field, right? And as an international association, that's important not only domestically, but across the world. And Mary talked about how we continue to work to achieve that goal. And then the cultivation of knowledge, right? And really, this is a co-creation of knowledge with all of our members, right? You all are on the ground every day. And you know what's happening, you know what the needs are, right? And so we work to create knowledge resources through our talking stick, through our journal, through our education programs, which goes into education, knowledge resources, influential leadership and community, which were all talked about in the last section. So I don't want to dive into those too much, but really that is we hope that that would be the outcome, right? And these are some key components of our strategic plan from 2024 to 2026. Okay. So we'd love for you to share with us. We'll take just about 2 minutes. You can share in the chat or out loud. But what's the most important educational opportunity that you've received or experienced in your career so far? So this can be an event, a program, a course, or an incident, something that you really learned from. And then what components of that experience provided that significant impact? And I will put these questions in the chat too, so that I can unshare my screen should anyone share verbally. But please feel free to unmute yourself and answer this question. We do want this to be interactive, so please feel free to chime in, chat, or verbally.
I would say some of the educational opportunities that I've received that have really been impactful, that I didn't expect them to be at this impactful, has actually been the opportunity to be some of the faculty at some of these institutes. I mean, I knew that being a participant would cause me to rethink my career trajectory and would be very helpful. But when I had the opportunity to be a faculty and learn from other faculty, and learn from participants, that has been some of the #1 things I think about. Like, it had me think a lot harder and deeper about what I want to be doing, where I want to be going, what kind of institutions do I want to work for, by having the opportunity to talk to my fellow faculty.
Thank you, Sash. Okay, and I see Dr. Khan, you said serving in faculty roles. Awesome. And you said my PhD program. Absolutely. Connecting with faculty and developing those mentorship relationships. Awesome. Wonderful. The amazing faculty. Awesome. Shout out to all the faculty. Awesome. Awesome. The Academic Initiatives Conference. Great. Thank you for sharing that, Brianna. NHTI Class of 2010. Okay, Krista. Navigating a global pandemic, absolutely. Huge learning experience. Awesome, awesome. Thank you all for sharing. And I think what we want to highlight here is that second question, which is what made it impactful. So I appreciate you all sharing that second piece. Because that's what we really want to think about when we're thinking about the experiences that we're creating for our members, right? Both volunteering, those who are volunteers in leadership positions, but also those who are attending our events, who are attending the webinars, who are attending the conferences. It should be twofold. Volunteers, leaders should be learning, but then also members who are attending the events should also be learning. And so these are things that we want to think about. So thank you all for sharing, and please continue to share in the chat as we move forward.
Outstanding. So I'm going to take a few moments to give you the full picture of our educational research framework that we have at ACUI. All of you are involved in something. We've seen so many experiences shared in the chat. But really there's so much going on, and we're going to just take a few moments to kind of paint that picture and allow you to gain perhaps a greater perspective on all that we're accomplishing each year throughout the volunteer leadership that you all share with us. So first we're going to I'll touch on just briefly our online learning. even before the pandemic, shucks, we were doing online courses for folks and allowing for asynchronous learning to be done during through our online courses. And we've got online courses through KUI at a variety of levels for both undergraduates, students who may be using our RA 101 or RA 201 courses, to courses on supervision, to courses on occupancy management and facilities management. So really, we've got a huge gamut of online ed, and those online courses were helped to be created by volunteer leaders. You know, while we've had those content matter experts like yourselves have really helped us create that online learning that we now have. There's a higher education certification. I hope you've heard about that. We promoted that quite a bit last year, but we have the opportunity for those who do receive that certification in higher education to receive continuing education credits by coming to our events, both virtually and in person. And if you are part of that, you do see those noted in our programs moving forward in 2023 and 2024 and beyond. And then we'll take a look at all that kind of builds together the multi components of what we do. So we have our executive board, we've got our volunteer leaders, our professional staff, and our partners. We all work collaboratively to create and implement the association's learning initiatives, educational events and programs, and our philosophical framework. So that's our curriculum, our professional standards, our core competencies. We've all put those together, our efforts, our energies, and our thoughts. So thank you to the past volunteer leaders who've helped shape where we are, and to you all who will continue moving us forward. What many of our members share with us is they love our in-person events, and that both the connecting with colleagues and the educational takeaways and impacts it has on their careers. We have 4 large-scale conferences each year. You can see those on the screen. We'll be in Milwaukee for Campus Home Live in June. Our Academic Initiatives Conference will be in Portland early October, and our Business Operations Conference and Housing Facilities Conference that we partner with APA on will both be in Bethesda, Maryland, Washington, and DC in late October. So we're looking forward to those 4 large-scale in-person events coming up. We also have a wide array of institutes and at all levels. So from the very entry-level position, actually the undergraduate level with Stars College, through entry level, through mid-level, to senior level, and beyond. So many of you have noted that you've been a part of these institutes over the course of your career trajectory. And we hope that you continue to ascend in your work, you continue to be involved in these, and then you share these opportunities with others. And finally, we have a number of offshoot offerings, such as our Symposia series, which are all virtual opportunities. And those really came to be created both in response to an inability to travel and a desire to continue to develop professionally, and also as a part of our previous strategic plan, noting that those population areas, we wanted greater focus of education. And we put those together with our Small College and University Symposia, our Multicultural Symposia, and our Live-In Symposium. Additionally, hopefully you've been involved in some of our career trajectory components that help folks both develop their leadership and find roles in the field, whether that be through our housing internship program, our leadership academy, or the placement exchange, which we partner with NASPA on. And finally, networks and committees are a huge part of what we do and how we connect. If you are not a part of a network or committee and you are interested, or you've got a colleague on a campus, you want to help them get their first step into a KUI activity, take that link and maybe Alexis will put in the chat. And that is the best way to get on a committee. Maybe you are a chair or a chair-elect of a committee and you're like, shoot, we're gonna need some committee members. Send this link out. When folks share that they're interested in one of our areas, we get an instant message and then we can get people connected. If you take a look at our Connections newsletter that comes out tomorrow, you're going to see a brand new issue of the Talking Stick as just one of our many knowledge resources that ACUI puts out. And you may or may not realize this, we have a large research wing at ACUI that we're doing funded research through, and that's also where our Campus Housing Index lives. All right, I'm going to throw it back over to Alexis.
All right, thank you so much, Spencer. As Mary mentioned earlier, we are an international association with a constantly expanding global lens. And so our membership does stretch across a wide range of institutional sizes, diverse students, staff, faculty, populations, crossing across physical, political, cultural, social, economic, and linguistic lines and boundaries. And so we continue to shift our lens and to diversify our lens and our offerings. And hopefully you'll see that reflected in the work that we do. And this photo here, this is actually from Campus Home Live this past year. Those flags represent all of the countries that we have represented at the conference. We're going to skip past this. We already talked about some of our special programs and initiatives, including the placement exchange, the housing internship program, and so on. Okay. And so where are we going in 2024? We want to continue to offer virtual high impact and high access programs that were initiated in 2023. The big benefit, of course, of virtual programming is the entry point. It's more accessible, more people can attend, and it tends to be more affordable as well without having to travel. Affordable and accessible, they can go hand in hand. Of course, they don't mean the same thing. And then continuing and returning to in-person delivery for many of our events. So all of our events, the ones that are continuing to stay in person, are back in person now. And so we can see on this map a reflection of where we will be having events this upcoming year. This also shows where we have that global perspective. And there are global partnerships with other campus housing organizations across the world, particularly in South Africa and the UK. All right. So I am going to pass it on to Emily now, who will kick us off talking about volunteer leadership.
Yes, let's get me off mute. Thank you so much for getting us going with all the different products and services that Akuai has to offer. So now that we've kind of taken that deep dive of all of our products and services, it's important now to talk about how all of this gets done. So spoiler alert, it is not a genie in the bottle. It's not a magic wand. And even, contrary to some popular trends right now, it's not even ChatGPT. It's actually our members. It's actual live people that get all this done for us. And so we're very proud of our volunteers, and we hope that you are also proud of the role that you serve. So we have developed a tool that we're hoping that you'll use and share across your various networks that can showcase your role as a leader. This graphic will be provided to you by your professional staff leader. You can choose to use this in maybe an email signature, for example. We are also going to personalize this. So I picked on one of our newest volunteer leaders, Paola, to show us what this can look like for you. And we hope that you'll use this and really be proud of the role that you serve for Akuai. And it also accomplishes, a second objective in that it will help promote the availability of volunteering to others across your network through sharing this with your colleagues. So look for that via email in the coming days, and we hope you enjoy this tool of engagement. All right, so as we talk about volunteering, it's very apparent, if you've spent any time at all volunteering, that there can be a bit of a cycle. There are reasons why you volunteer at certain times throughout your career. Those reasons might change for whether or not you're an early career professional or a late career professional. And it could even change, your motivations for that, within. So we thought we'd take an opportunity to hear from you through a word cloud. So please use your phone now and go to Menti, which is MENTI.com, and use this code 5428-0597. If someone could put that in the chat, that would be great. 5428-0597. You can either open up a new tab on your browser or use your phone and start putting in some of your responses to why you volunteer. And we'll come back here in a minute and check out this word cloud and see what folks' responses are. But in the meantime, while you're doing that, we're going to show this video. And I just realized that I need to make sure that I've got good audio. Let's make sure I've got some good audio here, because we are going to share this video, and it's going to go over how volunteering can not only impact your career and profession, but also your community, your personal lives, your health, all of those wonderful things that might not be top of mind when you're thinking about volunteering. So this is a great TED Talk that we found that we thought you would enjoy. So please, we're going to show this video. Continue, please, to answer and submit your input into the word cloud.
It's Winston Churchill who's gone on record saying, "We make a living by what we get, we make a life by what we give." And I've been very fortunate to have both a living and a life thanks to volunteerism. I make a living by working in a volunteer organization and managing a team of volunteers. And I make a life by giving back to my community, to my fraternity, and other organizations. It's been rewarding, and I'm very, very thankful for all the opportunities I've had. But it's also given me a lot of knowledge and insight about this world of volunteerism. Why do people volunteer? They do it because there's many, many reasons. Sometimes we're voluntold to go and do something, and other times we do it because it's the right thing to do in a community. We see a need, we believe in the cause, we believe in the mission, and it's something that we ultimately find ourselves getting moved into in a community that helps us through service and through different organizations. Organizations and even businesses are now starting to track the global impact of volunteers. Here in the United States, we know that a volunteer has a financial impact on an organization of $25.43 per hour. Meaning, if I'm volunteering for an organization, I'm saving that organization roughly $25 an hour if they had to hire somebody to do the same work at the same time. If you've ever presented a check to an organization, you know the money that you're giving an organization is one more penny, one more dollar, 1,000 more dollars than they had in their bank account at the start of the morning. It's a gift. It's truly a gift. A lot of companies are also providing days off, paid leaves of absence, paid service days to go into the community and work with their coworkers and help and make a difference in communities. There are a lot of companies, even colleges and universities, are tracking the number of hours that people are volunteering and the number of dollars that are being raised. And while all of this sounds great, it's not actually helping us in the volunteer sector. Trends that we're seeing across the globe are trending downward when it comes to volunteers. A lot of volunteer organizations are now becoming the best kept secrets in town, and we've seen a 58% decline in membership of volunteer organizations. This is not a good trend, and it's something we definitely want to address. So what happens when you see this decline? Ultimately, people suffer, organizations aren't being served, and communities go without. Why is this happening? It's for a couple of different reasons that we've seen. Mostly, there's a lack of relevance of the volunteer organization in the community and the volunteers who are working within that organization. They are also organizations that have been resistant to change, and for a lot of them, they're operating about 30 years in the past. So I want you to flash back with me to the year 1986. I know it's 31 years, but let's play with it. So let's flash back to 1986 and what we looked like back then. In the technology field, this was the way that we communicated. So this is what's on screen is a desk phone. For the young students in the audience, this is how we talked. And the computer that we used was the Apple Mac Plus at a whopping price tag of $2,444 at its prime. In the entertainment industry, two things happened that a lot of people will remember. Phantom of the Opera debuted on Broadway, and Top Gun was released in the movie theaters. It's now back in the movie theaters 30-some years later. Here in the United States, we grieved as a nation for the first time when we saw the Space Shuttle Challenger explode in January of 1986. This was a big lifestyle and lifetime movement for us as a nation, and definitely made us all pause and remember what happened. For my sports fans, the Chicago Bears won the Super Bowl with a score of 46-10 30 years ago, and it was one of the first times that we were introduced to a sports team who did a music video called the Super Bowl Shuffle. And probably the most important thing that happened in 1986 is that I was a freshman in college. That is a lot of hair in that picture. A lot has changed in 30 years. A lot has changed in 30 years. A little lighter here. And a lot is going to change. So if we flash forward 30 years, we're looking at the year 2050. We're looking at the year 2050. So here's what we know about 2050. A child born today will be 30 years old in 2050. Imagine that. If you hold a newborn baby in 2020, that newborn is going to be 30 years old in 2050. We do know that the world population is projected to grow by more than 30% to 9.6 billion. This means there's going to be a lot more people, a lot more communities, and a lot more need to volunteer and provide service in the world, around the world. In the technology sector, it's hard to predict what technology will look like 30 years from now. But if you think back what we were using to communicate with to what we're communicating with today, handheld computers, what's 30 years going to look like from now? Maybe the Jetsons will become a reality and we'll have those space-age machines. In the medical field, we do know that medical treatments are going to change significantly with the treatment with genes, genomic treatment, DNA research, and medical doctors are predicting to us that they will be able to do a lot more in terms of preventive health than reactive health in terms of medicine. In the education sector, this is actually going to be kind of alarming, especially since we're on a college campus. The traditional brick and mortar campus may fade away. It may fade away. Online education will become the norm, and sitting in a classroom with students who are from around the globe taking the same courses as you will probably become the way that we are teaching, but the way that we're also presenting information and idea sharing. Relationships. Social scientists will tell us that communication, and we're already starting to see this in 2020, communication and technology is going to change. Technology is driving people further and further away from face-to-face contact with others, and that's going to be important because it's going to continue to grow as we approach 2050. Those same social scientists tell us that what won't change is the need to belong in a community, the need to belong to something greater to themselves, and the need to provide back. So now what do we do with all this great information? Remember when I shared that service organizations are seeing a 58% decrease in membership? Well, we've got a problem to solve, and that means we need to start looking at service and the organizations that encompass that. We need organizations for people to join, but more importantly, we need to recruit people and people to come in to be part of those service organizations. So how do you do that? How do you attract people to join when many organizations are stagnant and operating 30 years in the past? Well, you do that by thinking forward. You need to think beyond 2020 and start thinking towards 2050 when it comes to your community and those around you. People will join organizations because they want to do something a little bit better than themselves. They value the time that they will have with each other rather than the time that they will spend writing a check and sending it off to an organization. People will also want to volunteer. Research shows people will want to volunteer because they can do things together as a family. Whether biological or chosen family, people will want to do things together. And more importantly, they will want to close the generation gap that's going to exist. With the advances in medicine, people are going to be living a lot longer, and so we need to bring people together to help in communities. If you're part of a student organization or any global service organization, we need to make sure those organizations are mission-centric. Are we staying true to the mission of the organization, but also changing with the community around us? There's a people gap right now, and it's going to continue to grow with the way that our society is growing and the way that communities are changing. We are often living in overscheduled lives, and it's hard to give the time that we need in some organizations. But if the cause is right, the mission is right, and the people are there, you may be able to recruit some people to come in and do meaningful hands-on service. Today's people who want to join service organizations are the mavericks. These are the people who want social change. They are not the people who want to sit at a traditional fork and knife club meeting or a business meeting. They want to roll up their sleeves and get into the field. And that's going to be important as we start to look at the relevance of a student organization or any other organization that revolves around volunteers and volunteer-driven people. Is your weekly meeting again going to be fork or knife, or are you actually going to be out in the community doing what you should be doing? Tomorrow's volunteers need to be socially engaged. They want to make a difference in the community, and they want to know that their impact is going to last in the community. They do not want to sit behind a desk. They would much rather be out there sharing their passions and spending time with others. There's been a lot of research that's been done about volunteers, and ultimately what we're learning is that people want to do something because they have the freedom to do something important with their lives. They're going to make smart choices and choices with their time, and ultimately it's making the time with their lives. Great things never came from comfort zones. If you're part of an organization or work with organizations, you have to remember sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zones and be prepared for the "we've always done it this way" syndrome. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The naysayers will be there, and we have a duty to greet those naysayers with some stats and with some facts, but most importantly, passion in order to get out there. You, my friends, can ultimately help me reverse the trend. I enjoy what I do for my job, but I also enjoy what I do for my life. And I know the needs are out there, and we can make a difference. So I welcome you to join me, and let's get out there and do something important for communities tomorrow. Thank you.
All right. Let's go back and check in our word cloud. I know that we have some mavericks in this group, some maverick volunteers. So here you can see some of the outcomes of our word cloud here. Thank you again for giving us some feedback on that. One of the larger responses was give back, mentoring, get involved, kindness. Oh, I love seeing that. That's wonderful. Involvement, association advancement, sharing is caring. This is great. The only thing that's missing on here is like what, free lunch, free pizza. Sometimes we think that that's why our volunteers are showing up, but it doesn't look like that with this group. Alexis is gonna have a few other takeaways that we hope that you'll have from that video. She's going to go over a few takeaways that we hope that you have from having watched that. Alexis?
All right, thank you so much, Emily. Let me go ahead and get my screen back up. So it's from your experience, in what ways does the housing and residence life feel? How can we be more forward thinking? And then the follow-up question is, through your volunteer role with the association, how would you like to contribute to that?
I can go.
Yeah.
I think what I'm finding is we need to create more space to make sure that folks truly understand the work. So on the departmental level, but then also how it functions within the larger organization and how we work and function. And I found that particularly we spent a lot of time with trying to talk about what does value mean, what is the student experience, but not really centering or honing in on the staff experience. And so experience, skill set, and practically what does it mean to do the work so people feel more competent and good. And I think that will increase job satisfaction and value. My hope is that in the mid-level space, I'm really helping those folks understand their work and how that goes up and down and how they translate that work can contribute not only to their own satisfaction, but also the folks that they supervise and lead.
Thank you, Crystal. Awesome. So focusing on the staff experience. I'm sure there's a lot of opportunity there too, as the needs shift and change, employee needs. We learn more about that. Love that. The future of the profession. Our future of the profession is the epitome of forward thinking and the work that they're doing. Please continue to share in the chat here.
I can share verbally if there's no one else sharing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think some ways that housing and residence life can improve, or even seen improve in my time, was just around wellness and like burnout and things. We kind of talked about supporting staff, but more of just like working right now in a non-like res life capacity. It's amazing, like August, how much time I have. And just like duty, for example, I used to be on duty from like Tuesday to Tuesday, and some situations were more emotionally draining. Like we're always expected to respond and be like the rock, and then we don't really have that time to re-energize and regroup or even process what we just experienced. Like literally we just transported somebody for a suicide ideation or an alcohol, or that's a lot of emotional stuff. So in my former department, we had transitioned to weekday duties and weekend duties. So you could either book them back to back if that was your preference, or you can space them out. So it just provided more opportunities for professionals to like balance and fit work-life balance, hybrid work, and I'm trying to think of what else. I think those were some of the main ones.
Would anyone else like to share? All right. We'll continue to share in the chat, please. The big thing here is, as we approach this upcoming year and as we look at some of the goals that we have as an association, and the work that we're always already doing, your volunteer leadership really is, we want you to bring your ideas. We want you to bring your experiences, and we want to continue to move forward. And we need you all to do that. We want to partner with you all to do that. Okay, so talking about the volunteer leader position, right? So volunteer leaders provide a QOI with the frontline, in-depth, day-to-day understanding and knowledge of the profession. There's the peer-to-peer influence and connection. We talk about our networks and our committees, which is an opportunity for you to get to know your peers in the field. And ambassadors for what the association produces. We are at service to you all, to our members, and we hope that your involvement with the association is beneficial for you, and that's something that you share positively about. And then we have our role of our professional staff leaders. And so our professional staff leaders are our full-time staff members at the home office. And we contribute to the institutional memory of our educational programs and initiatives, right? So a lot of our programs are year by year. And so we have that archive, that knowledge to be able to carry on programs from year to year as volunteers cycle out and cycle into new positions. Providing back-end support and administration to our volunteer leaders. So the systems, the technology, the marketing, the budgeting, scheduling, logistics, all of that is what our professional staff leaders do. Experience and insight that complements our colleagues in campus housing and residence life. So we talked a little bit about adult learning principles. Emily talked about the experience that she has in association management. And so taking those other expertise areas to be able to combine that with all of you all's experience in campus housing and residence life to serve our members. And then the direct experience in student affairs and campus housing and residence life or association management. So all of our staff members have some degree of experience in either association work or housing and residence life or student affairs. And so having that lens as well. to be able to partner with you all and have that knowledge. And then together, volunteer leaders, professional staff, leaders work to accomplish tasks, achieve goals, and produce deliverables. We hold one another accountable throughout the process and commit to make one another successful as we produce these offerings for our members. So I'm going to pass it on to Spencer to talk about our mutual expectations.
Sure. And in the chat, you also see a link to the roles and responsibilities of professional staff leaders and volunteer leaders. That is also attached to this session in the event platform. So those of you who'd like to read, process, and have a greater understanding of what we do, feel free to take a look at that. Couple key mutual expectations I want to touch on. First of all, meeting on a regular basis, at least once a month, connecting over a Zoom call. All of our professional staff leaders have Zoom accounts where they can they'll set up the Zoom meetings with you all, and they can also set up the Zoom meetings with the committees/network planning sessions that y'all are holding. We want to be considering like really high level thoughts that can benefit the entire association and our entire membership. So it can be really easy to go down a rabbit hole of something that may help, a very small part of the profession, but we really want to think big picture with what we're doing and think about, if we do it for this event, can we manage to do that for all our events? Think about what scale can look like when you're working with a global association, and then just being transparent with one another. We at the home office know that life happens. We know there are heavy times heavy workload times. We recognize right now, for many of you, it is winter break has ended and there's an influx of students coming to campus or semester starting. We recognize that and we're here to support you. If there's a meeting you cannot make because you've got a conflict or it is a really busy time of year, we just want you to say something. And we'll do the same thing. Life, we're all humans too. We are all humans. Let's respect each other. Let's care about one another, and let's support one another. We do always want to be a good steward of dollars in a KOI. I learned from a mentor one upon a time. All y'all want to be good stewards of student dollars on your campuses and housing residence life. We want to be good stewards of KOI dollars. So being mindful, where does that money come from and how are we spending it? Is it in accordance with our policies and our bylaws? So be thoughtful, and would we want to do that for every event, every session? So think about how that can work. We are a nonprofit, so while we generate revenue, it is to pay our bills so we can continue doing what we're doing for the field. And it's really important for us to continue to be role models and be professional, exhibit great customer service, whether it be someone who's new to an event, new to a network, and being respectful and kind to one another as well. When we set goals for 2024 and our time that we're working together, let's be realistic. It's great to shoot for the moon, but we really want to think about SMART goals. How can we create something that is achievable, that is measurable, that is time bound? Think about how we can set ourselves all up for success in 2024 with the volunteer work y'all are doing. It's important. I want y'all to remember, we're all full-time staff members at KOI, so it is a partnership and we want you to work together with us, but recognize that things that fall into the really operational side, the KOI staff members will handle that. Really, we want you to be able to connect with the members, to think about what are the current trends, what are the current issues, what's cutting edge, what are you hearing? Bring that back to us so we can help connect our programmatic offerings into creating solutions for what's occurring in the field, and help us in promoting our events. That can be done through the online community, that can be done through your networks and social media. We'll make the posts, we'll come up with cool graphics. Our marketing team's all about that. We'll make sure the Pantones are perfect, but once you see it, push it out to your team, push it out to your network, and help support what we're doing.
Okay, everyone. We are going to move into another break. We're going to take another we'll do a 7-minute break. And so we will come back at 3:17 so that we can get started on our next session, where you all will have the opportunity to meet with your executive board member who supports your group in our next session. So we will see you back at 3:17.